Hello everybody, some would say I'm the Reverse, and welcome to my review for The Bad Batch, Episode 3, titled Replacements. Let's start with my general thoughts on the episode. Personally, this was a great episode, definitely up there with Episode 1 in terms of overall quality. This episode has two subplots going on. The first one, the A-plot, I guess you could say, has to do with the Bad Batch crashing on a remote, desolate moon. And they lose, or their capacitor shuts down. They have to replace it with another one. And then it gets taken by this wild animal. Hunter and Omega, they go out and they look for this animal. Hunter uses tracking abilities and stuff. And eventually Hunter gets knocked out because his oxygen mask falls off and he goes unconscious. And Omega has to track the animal. She tracks it into this small little cave. There she has a little interaction with it. I'll talk more about the specifics later. Basically, she gets the capacitor and they put it back into the ship, and yeah, that's the plot. All right. Then we have the B plot, which is the more intriguing plot. This has to do with Crosshair, Tarkin, the Empire, the Kaminoans, and etc. So we pick up, and Tarkin has now set up a covert squad for Crosshair to manage, to lead. And it's not clones, it is conscripted soldiers. Obviously, this is the first step towards stormtroopers and what the Empire becomes eventually in the timeline. And this is called Project Warmantle, which was, I believe, a reference to Rogue One, when Jyn is listing off all the different projects in the Citadel Tower. I believe that's where it's from. It was familiar to me. I'm pretty sure that's what that's referring to. But yeah, so real troopers, they go out to Onderon to basically finish what the Bad Batch started, and they go to take out Saw Gerrera and the insurgents. They go there, Saw Gerrera is not there, and we get one of the coolest scenes in recent years of Star Wars. Crosshair interrogates the insurgents, a few of them civilians. He asks, "Where's Saw Gerrera?" They say, "I don't know." This lady says, "I don't know, and if I did, I wouldn't tell you." And then he shoots her immediately and says, "I believe you." And then eventually he's about to kill all these civilians. One of his troopers steps up and says, "What are you doing? These weren't our orders." And Crosshair shoots him. And then he says, "Good soldiers follow orders." And then he orders the other troopers to kill the civilians with flamethrowers, shoot them down. It's just a really dark and really awesome scene. And yeah, I really like this plot. I'll get into the specifics of it. I'll get into it. But yeah, it's definitely the most intriguing part of this episode, and probably the most intriguing part of this show thus far, in my opinion. But yeah, let's get into the specifics of what I like, what I disliked. Not much that I disliked, but I'll get to that, and some of my theories and predictions. So things that I noticed, things that I liked. First off, Wrecker hits his head in this episode, and he's kind of holding his head the whole time. This was a way to kind of write him out of coming with Omega and Hunter to find the capacitor and stuff, but I think it's going to lead to something more. I think it's going to be something to do with his chip. I really hope it doesn't set his chip straight and kind of he starts to go all evil and blank-faced. I really hope that's not what's going to happen, but they spent a lot of time focusing on his headache in this episode. So I really hope that doesn't amount to stuff. Actually, I do hope, because I hope for good storytelling, not just, the happy ending. I do hope that's what happens, because it'd be a really cool way to bring the story, but it will be hard to watch, nonetheless. Next is Crosshair's. I just love what's going on with Crosshair, and this isn't his choice. He's being forced to do these things. We see the Bad Batch kind of grieve for him, and they miss him. Hunter feels guilty for what happened. He feels guilty for not stopping it when he thought he could have. Stuff like that. And then we see Crosshair kind of contemplating and stuff, and I just really love what they're doing with his character thus far. At first I was kind of annoyed that he was a turncoat immediately, or technically they were turncoats immediately, but I really love what they're doing with his story and his character and his relationship with the Bad Batch, and I just can't wait for another encounter between Clone Force 99 and Crosshair and his squad. But yeah, that was great. Also, during this episode, great development with the Bad Batch and Omega's characters and their relationship, specifically her and Wrecker. First off, she offers him her rations. He accepts, and then Hunter tells him no, let her eat her food, and yeah. And then at the end of the episode, Wrecker gives her own bedroom. He makes her own bedroom, which is a really wholesome and heartfelt moment, and I thought that was great. Really loving this the character of Omega, and I really love her relationship with the Bad Batch, specifically Hunter and now Wrecker. Hopefully, we'll get more development with her and Echo, and then her and Tech, and possibly even her and Crosshair. It seems she understands that Crosshair, it's not his choice. She's very empathetic towards him. But I want to see what Crosshair thinks of Omega a little bit more. I think that'd be interesting. But yeah. Now on to the B plot. First off, the whole Crosshair and that really dark scene on Onderon with him killing that lady, killing the dude that stood up to him, his own trooper, and then killing all the civilians. Probably my favorite moment thus far on this show. It was really dark. It took a dark turn very quickly, and I just really loved it. And just on top of that, Crosshair's design is really, really menacing and really awesome looking. Along with his voice, I think it just really lends to his cold demeanor. He really feels like a Winter Soldier kind of character, but with a little more character, if that makes sense. But I'm really big fan of his design and what they're doing with him. Also, something that I'm really looking forward to seeing develop over the course of this season is the Camino plotline with the Kaminoans. We got a little tidbit in the first episode with Nala Se stopping the door from closing, letting the Bad Batch escape. And now in this episode, we see the Kaminoans, her and I believe it was Lama Su, talking about making a new breed of clones to keep the Empire's contract. I hope that this is eventually going to lead to the clone uprising, the Camino uprising, as seen in the 2005 Battlefront 2, but this time obviously a canon version of it. If I was to write the rest of the show based off these 3 episodes, I would lead up to that clone uprising for the finale, and then I would bring in Vader. Using that, Vader would come in and put an end to all of it. I think that'd be a really cool way to end this season. So I really hope that they are leading towards that Camino uprising, and yeah. This episode also portrayed a great explanation as to why the clone troopers would be replaced with the stormtroopers, and it's really just a question of control. That's a big thing with the Empire. They control the galaxy, the people, the Jedi, just everything, the economy, the government. They just a huge part of their rule is their control over everything. And I really like that is kind of the main reason the stormtroopers take over the clone troopers, is that it's much easier to control a group of people that volunteer as tribute. They volunteer to the service of the Empire. It's much more easy to control those people than clones that are bred to comply, because then there's complications with the Bad Batch and other clones that get their chips removed and chips that malfunction, stuff like that. It's just much easier to control when, people are on board at their own will, with their own freedom. And that makes sense, and it adds to what the Empire is all about, with control and power and the iron fist that they rule with, and it's just great. But yeah, next is really my only complaint with this episode, and that is that the A-plot with the Bad Batch on the moon, very reminiscent of other plot lines done with the Clone Wars and Rebels and the Mandalorian, where their ship crashes, they encounter some big beast that wreaks havoc on their ship. They eventually kill or come to reason with the beast. They fix their ship and they go off on their way. Very reminiscent. Remember, the Mandalorian did this with the Frog Lady episode. They did this on Rebels with the Zeb and Callus episode, where they crash landed on the icy moon of Geonosis. And they also did this on the Clone Wars. The only one I can think of off the top of my head is the Jedi Crash episode. I'm sure there was more. I guess there was the droids arc in season 5 when they crash landed into the void. But other than that, yeah. So it's been done quite a few times. It's very derivative, but yeah, at least it led to some character development, some development of the relationship between the characters, and some heartfelt moments between the characters, stuff like that. Also, some things I noticed with Omega. I'm continuously every week there's just new things going on with her. She seemed to, the way they portrayed it, she seemed to come to an understanding with the animal. It felt very reminiscent to Ezra Bridger in Star Wars Rebels, coming to an agreement with the, using the Force to kind of manipulate animals, how Ezra did it with the Loth Wolves and the Loth Cats and stuff like that. Feels very reminiscent. I don't know if that's what they're going for, but yeah. That's pretty much all I have to say about this episode. We don't really know anything about the upcoming episodes. We don't know. To my knowledge, there hasn't been any leaks about next week's episode. No synopsis, no title, nothing like that. But yeah, we do know we got Fennec Shand coming. We got Captain Rex coming. There's been footage of stuff like the Baby Rancor and the Mudhorns. We've seen Wrecker fighting those like HK droids or something. We've just seen so many things. We've seen that big what's it called? That creature from the Mandalorian. It looked like the one that was under the Quarren ship in the Mandalorian. That was in one of the Bad Batch trailers. We've just seen a lot of footage that we obviously haven't seen yet. So that's really the only things that we have to go off of. But we don't know which episodes they're going to be in, and how all the events in those episodes are going to transpire. We know nothing. But yeah, very good episode. 9.5, 9.4 or something. And probably I really enjoyed it, especially the Crosshair plot line. And I'm really excited to see how all these different plot lines, go on and develop with the Camino stuff and the Crosshair stuff and the Omega stuff and all that. So, yeah, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned for my future videos. I'm about halfway through The Last Command right now, so I'll be doing a book review, a Legends review on the Thrawn trilogy. When I finish that, that'll be a lot of fun. So, yeah, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned for my future videos. See ya.